Have you ever brought your magic to Walt Disney World like, hey, we came to play? Did you tip your tiara to a Creole princess or get goofy officially? Step up like a boss and save the day? Or see what life's like under the tree of life? Did you? If you could. Would you? When we come through, it's true magic. 'Cause we came to play. Bring the magic at Walt Disney World Resort.
It's one thing falling in love with a house, picturing yourself moving in and calling it home, and quite another navigating the world of price negotiating, mortgage lenders, and finding the budget that works best for you. An agent who's a Realtor can make understanding that world easier. Realtors have the expertise, access to proprietary data, and tools to help you get from imagining living somewhere to actually doing it. That's the kind of help we can provide. Because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah, what's up? It's your boy Joel Ortiz, and I want everybody to make sure that they subscribe and download the podcast, Library Rap, the hip-hop interviews with Tim Einenkel. Yo, Tim, I hope all is well. You my guy. I know these interviews are not interviews, they're actually conversations, and I appreciate them all. Yawa.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ice-T. I want you to do something for me. Make sure you download and subscribe Library Rap, the hip-hop interviews with Tim Einenkel. It is fucking official. All right? Stop playing. Download and subscribe. Library Rap, the hip-hop interviews with Tim Einenkel. It's cold.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's your boy Farrell March in the building. I need y'all to make sure you subscribe and download to the podcast, Library Rap. Hip-hop interviews with your boy Tim Einenkel. You already know.
Because of sanctions, they are banned from international bank transfers. They stealth bombed Wakanda after they killed Black Panther. The ancestors were angered. When I heard about it, I was in transit in a foreign land. The news feed was in the form.
Freestyles, mixtapes, DJ Clue, DMX versus Canibus. I'll hit you so hard in your chest, your shoulders will touch. Words, names, lyrics that had my friends and I as teenagers saying, oh shit, did you hear what Canibus just dropped? On March 25th, 2022, Canibus will bless us again with a EP produced by P Rock. Canibus, welcome to Library Rap, the hip hop interviews with Tim Einenkel. Thank you so much for being here.
Peace. What's up with you, boss? What's good? Peace.
Thanks, man. Thank you for doing this. It's been a long time coming. So I want to go back real quick. I was listening to an interview you did with allhiphop.com. And during the conversation, you talked about the business model your class was under and how that didn't really help. That helped them with the numbers, but in longevity-wise, it didn't help the artists. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit more, and what does that mean?
So can you repeat that part? Like you heard about the numbers? I said...
Yeah, so you were discussing the business model that labels had back then, and it did help them business, like the bottom line, it helped with their numbers, but in longevity for the artists and developing the artists, it didn't help with the artists.
Okay, so that's the thing I did with Bootleg Kev.
Okay, yeah, and you mentioned
I remember mentioning that, right? Okay, so essentially that statement was pretty much derived from experience with, major label, being on a major label. The label in my case was UMG, and I want to preface it by saying that UMG did a great job with, considering, the atmosphere, in rap at the time. There was, that East Coast West Coast schism going on. Due to the, just that 96 beef, between two of our like biggest stars and poets, at that time. And I'd say they were kind of both like activists even, right? So at least the beef was active, right? But I feel like that was just so explosive for the world, because at that time we were less connected with devices and just this online phenomenon that it seemed to garner so much attention that I guess these major labels just figured, you know what, everybody's buying a ticket to see the fight. Like nobody wants to participate in the see, who else is on the card. They don't want to see anything else. They just want the fight. They want the meat, the potatoes. So, me being on a major at that time, they definitely did the best that they knew how to do. I will say that, a label like Def Jam, on the other hand, was built for hip hop and hip hop artists and writers, poets, storytellers. I would just call it activated music or woke music. And even clubs, hits, top chart, chart toppers. You know what I mean? Heat seekers. Def Jam was built for that, and so Def Jam was able to pretty much just like, they were quarterbacking. They were quarterbacking, the lion's share of what both the consumers and just the heavy hitters where they were at. And so I feel like Universal, they did the best that they could have done. It would have been up to the artists at that time. And during that time, no matter what label you're on, it would have been up to the artists and their team, respectively, producers, promo team, strategists, anything of that nature. It would have been up to them and their team to get like a radio record hit, right? Mm-hmm. Get some kind of an angle on where their meat and potatoes are going to be coming from. So what we going to be rhyming about, or what are we pushing? What are we advertising? If we're going to get advertising from, liquor companies or athletic shoe companies or whatever, then let's aim for that. But what's our angle going to be? So that's kind of like what everybody was doing at the time. Now I had my fair share of sponsors and all that, man. I had, I was sponsored by a clothing company, Pure Players. They paid check. Averex, Sprite, did a commercial for Sprite, did a commercial for Iverson for his for the question, that whole line. I mean, I wrote records for artists. So, I had my fair share, and then even like being with the Fugees at the time, Wyclef, Jay Wonder, Praz, at that time, Charmin, Texana, that team. I mean, Terry, Cowboy, like that team, like Beast, there's so many things that Clef was able to fast track. That team was able to fast track me into that, like the Bulwer soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And just, a radio hit, which was Gone to November, the remix. So, there were people who knew how to, gain exposure. And, the irony of it all is they were telling me that was good for me. I believed it was good for me at the time. And in the hip hop community themselves, it kind of like turned their back on me. It not the community of today. The community today, they somewhat support, my trajectory, only because they see that it has somehow, the adversity, the pressure has somehow turned the coal into parts of it anyway, into a diamond, right? So it's unpolished still, but they saw the necessary, or the things that happened that necessitated my subject matter, and how seriously I did, how I began to start doing deep dives on certain, mm-hmm. issues, while still keeping it poetic, keeping it hip hop, right? And it's rap too. I mean, earlier, a good friend of mine was just talking about how something going on right now with like Cypress Hill, and Cypress Hill is highlighting that, leadership is important in hip hop, right? And this gentleman told me that was coming, and here we are staring at it, and it's true, like leadership. Because when I was coming up, the leadership, and when I speak on things and I'm saying stuff, like, it's my opinion, but it's also on my film. It's coming from my senses and what I experienced. It's not to somehow insult or tarnish what anybody else has either done or was trying to do at the time. You know what I mean? Like, just because, like, if you make a 911 call and somebody's on their way, you're still not gonna, the person who made the call is still not going to appreciate that the EMS response was on their way, if they get there and it's too late. So I'm not at all trying to, I'm not negating what our elders were doing or were trying to do or what have you. I'm just saying that the leadership was fractured. It was splintered. I don't know if there ever was a governing, body or think tank around decisions that were made, beyond just the music, right? Like, the music seemed to be, that was all there was to it. Like, okay, well, these dudes over here, party dudes, they always talking about the club. They always popping bottles. They always about that. You know what I'm saying? The show side of things. Then you got some other guys that were about like the business a little bit. Like, for example, like I'm gonna say De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest. Like, even though they were having fun and they were talking about, things, they got people in the clubs. They did all that. It was that kind of decade or that era, but they also had a direction as to what they were kind of like supporting. And, they were looking into the future as to what, now you could look at a Tribe Called Quest video, or you can look at a De La Soul video, and you're not going to be offended by what they were doing. They weren't cooning. You know what I'm saying? Even when they did records, radio records, like they still kept their identity, an identity that is germane to hip hop and runs in parallel with a lot of the things that some of those, artists still kind of like struggle with today. Like the same sort of obstacles or glass ceilings, it's still there. Like, I mean, what did Tip say? Like record industry rule 1080, like,
right.
You know what I mean? And everybody remembers that, man. And that was said at a time when, he got some sideways looks walking through the halls, when you got to go up to the office, So my statement was said to just highlight specifically how, we were all learning at the time. Most of us were green, especially the younger generation, and the leadership was not on the same page. I don't even know if anybody was. Like, there was too much fighting going on whenever them type of conversations would come up. I remember being around when them conversations came up, man, dudes were pretty much like, they wouldn't even really, because we're not talking about the moguls here. The moguls, what they do is they get the money, they put you in position. That's what the moguls do. When I say leadership, I'm talking about the ones who pen too. They pen, they put their poetry together, they get in the booth, they get on the stage, they rap, they rhyme. You know what I mean? Those are like the, that's where the batch of leadership should come from. Basically like the blue collars, right? So my statement was just reinforcing how, man, like, we all experienced that. We all went through it. And then when it's all said and done, looking at it now, you look back and you just like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, the bread was made, the money was made. So, why some of the elders got to go before Congress and ask for money? You know what I mean? I said that in one of my rhymes, I kneel before Congress and beg for money, and I said that 10, 11 years ago, 12, 14 years ago. Yeah. With the Poet Laureate Infinity. And so, that statement holds true now. I didn't know that I was looking into the future or anything like that. I was just speaking about what was on my plate at that time, what was visible to me at that time. And, I'm sorry about being so long-winded about it. I just don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't want to offend anybody, man, because it's no one person or entity's fault. It's more so like the lack of communication and the lack of effective communication, working things out, the things that happen in every other industry. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, what did the leaders or the people who were in them seats, what did they expect to happen to rap? It's like this was the outcome that was desired by the people with the reins. The desirable outcome was that we would all be splintered and fractured at this time to where there is no capital. to launch anything that's, that'll have any kind of cornerstone in this or have any kind of, impactful. You know what I mean? And so, I just look at it, man. I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, wasn't anybody paying attention to it? And I know out there, if somebody from that era is listening and they had a little bit of juice and they were in there, I know they're probably thinking like, yeah, I was paying attention to it. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to offend nobody and make them feel like I'm trying to throw them under I'm not throwing you under the bus. What I'm saying is that, yeah, okay, so you were doing it. So who else was doing it with you? And how was it going to work if you didn't have like some type of a, actionable negotiation, like something that was actionable from all sides, and I just didn't see it, man. And I can't be untruthful about it, man. I don't even understand how something that, that something that provided so many jobs and fulfilled and so much fulfillment for so many people across the globe. We're talking about rap, not just hip hop. Okay, the category is rap. We was repping hip hop, but let's just say it's rap. It's rap. It came from rap. You can't have rap without hip hop. So, all right, let's take the bigger umbrella, rap. How could something have provided so much income and revenue and fulfillment, like spiritual, emotional, academic fulfillment? Because you remember a lot of times, during that era, the children, I put myself in that category back in the 80s. I was a child, in the 90s, I was somewhat, even as an adolescent, I was a child. I was maturing. I was getting to that stage. And so rap used to keep us like off the edge sometimes. And if we got to the edge, it would bring us back. You know what I mean? Like rap was what we used, like you talk to us through the rap, man. Our own parents couldn't even they couldn't have the desired effect that rap had on us. Rap was our, that was our, like, our idol, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, that was our idol. We idolized rap and everybody in it that was making any kind of noise and anybody that just touched us through it. And so I just, like I said, man, it's just, I'm wowed. I'm just like completely, saying just in awe of how that was such a huge fanfare, like probably one of the biggest entertainment derived events of the series of events of the 80s and the 90s and and even the early 2000s that splintered into everything. We was in R&B. We was messing around with all the advertising for all these companies that if you walk into a major mall or retailer now, you're still going to see some of those brands that are on the shelf. We made those brands pop. You know what I mean? We were the ones that we wore those brands. We paid for those brands. Some of the brands wasn't sponsoring us. The majority of them didn't sponsor us. We were paying bread to get the most expensive one, the most limited ones, and make that mainstream. We did that. So where's you know what I mean? It's what I'm talking to you about is the same sort of thing that, I traveled to that country once, South Africa, right? The continent. And I just remember one of the things that stick with me is I just remember how looking at it and just thinking to myself, like resource wise, like how wealthy they are in resources, and anyone who's from those regions will tell you what they have underneath the ground, what's available on the surface, like the natural resources that are there, rare earth elements and stuff like that. And they, they'll talk about it. They won't hesitate to tell you what their country has to offer or what the region has to offer, what's only there that you can't get anywhere else. From what I'm told, there's like an element that goes in the cell phone. It's used in the cell phone. It starts with a C. I can't remember, it's not cobalt, I don't think, but there's an element that it's only procured in the Congo. And without that, we wouldn't even have cell phones, like not in this kind of mass anyway, not mass produced anyway. And so to think, okay, so that's there, right? The conditions there. I mean, I haven't been there lately. I haven't looked up to see what it's like lately, but I mean, I kind of already know, right? Like, you know, how can it be like that? And there was leadership that was in control there to say, look, man, you're just going to have to like slaughter everybody here in the Congo and the neighboring countries if you're going to come in here and take this without providing, you know, a safety net for once you have all these, you have all this rare earth elements, you have all these resources, what happens to the land, the people, who's left behind, who's got to pick up the pieces. And they did rap. Rap got done the same way. And that's what I speak on. I'm not trying to create some kind of a movement behind it, like not even close. I just orbit that topic because if people just take a fraction of introspection and look into their own lives, they'll see how everything sort of ends up that way. It's kind of like the dice are loaded. You know what I mean? Everything, every industry, you know, entertainment, sports, you name it. Like you just go from top to bottom, you know, politics, you know, religion, like every industry has that kind of, that sieve in it that's somehow siphoning from it and leaves it just like just an emaciated frame. It's an emaciated body when it's done with it, and it just casts it off to the side. And yet, you know what I mean? It did so much for people when it was vibrant and robust. And that's kind of like how I see rap. That's exactly how I see rap. Rap was the most robust kind of, you know, hard hitting street. You know, it was like CNN. It was like well, I don't know how well they're doing now or any of the major news units, right. But I'm just saying in general, like whoever, okay, like let's say these Joe Rogan guy, all of our artists, our top 10, top 15, top 20 artists, they were all Joe Rogan, all of them. To us, they were, you know what I'm saying? We all got to it when they were anywhere next to a mic or any one of their words. We used to buy the magazines to read them. So without sounding like some type of fanboy or sounding like I'm trying to recapture the old, I'm giving you a detailed description of where these statements come from. It's not just one statement. It's really what I orbit around in my music and my poetry. That's not the only place I go, but I do make it. It's intrinsic that I circle back to that from time to time because, you know, none of us are getting any younger, and we got to pass this on. And the youngins that are in it right now, I think they're doing very well, considering that they didn't even really have any guidance either. You know what I mean? If their guidance is, you know, a corporate, you know, corporate bigwig or a corporate, developer, right? An entertainment developer, because that was, you know, you had A&D before A&R, you had artist development and not just artist rep. And the artist development, you know, for people who were from impoverished backgrounds, you know, or people just were unaware, you know, they teach you how to, you know, eat with a knife and fork. You understand? Or, you know, be you know, the please, the thank you, all these things that some of us learn, you know what I'm saying? We go through hardships to learn that in our youth. Some people just don't have it. You know what I mean? So A&D used to do that. That was part, and people used to get paid to sit in front of you and tell you, okay, so how would you react to this question? And then, you know, let you free form do it. And then they say, no, okay, well, how about this? Try this, you know? And I remember, you know, I ain't gonna lie to you. Nice, you know, black lady, white lady, you know what I mean? Nice, you know what I mean? Nice, you know, just the most cordial, you know, just beams of light sitting in front of you, telling you how you can, you know, protect your brand and have a future, a long lasting future in that entertainment, you know. And so, you know, that's gone. It's been gone for a long time. When I got in, A&D was gone. So I just don't really know, man. Like Gary Coleman had A&D. You know what I mean? The proof of A&D is when someone's like older than people think they are, than the mass populace would think they were, but they put the press out and make it look like, okay, you're younger, or, all those sorts of things. So they your birthday, your birth date and all these kind of things. They fine tune these things to help to, spread your career out, give you more range. And so, get like Gary Coleman, I only bring up his name because it's the first thing that comes to mind, but all those artists, all those actors had it, right? And so, that A&D, that artist development was there to give them an effective way of expanding their reach, and also the shelf time, the half-life of their career, so it's not just 15 minutes for everybody. Because once they made that investment, which is, once again, I'm grateful to a major label, UMG, for Universal in particular, and all the people that worked there at that time. I love them all, as at my age now, I have nothing but, like love, life, and legacy to project to them, because they pressed that button for me, man. My face, my music, it was on billboards, these things were expensive, international exposure. Because without that, I wouldn't even be, because I'm not even, I don't even matter right now. So imagine without that, what would the impact of what I write now, what would it mean? Like, it would mean less than nothing. So, I gotta take my hat off to everybody that put in, even though they didn't really know, they didn't know how to get a result that was different from what we have right now. I still take my hat off to them, because they were just doing what they knew how to do.
Have you ever brought your magic to Walt Disney World like, hey, we came to play? Did you tip your tiara to a Creole princess or get goofy officially? When we come through, it's true magic, because we came to play at Walt Disney World Resort.
Is this house a good price compared to others in the area? Are prices going up or down? If I don't make an offer right this very moment, will I miss my chance? These are just some of the questions a home buyer might ask. And these are the sorts of questions an agent who is a Realtor can help answer. Because Realtors have the expertise, data, and access to specialty training to help you navigate the process of buying a home. They provide support, guidance, and have your back every step of the way. That's what Realtors do, because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Sorry, so it's like listening to you talk, and the experiences you obviously went through would have me being like, why am I like, if this happened to me, I'm like, why am I still doing this? So for you, like, why do you still, I mean, I feel like there's so many examples of being discouraged from doing this art or participating in this art form, and you continue to do this all these years. So what has the purpose of this art form done for you, but also why do you continue to kind of be a part of it?
Great question. There's two main reasons. The first reason is, I gotta say, sometimes you come into contact with people who tell you what the effect that your music or your writings, your literature, your poetry has had on them. There's no substitute for that when you're looking, you're looking at a person either, or listening to a person over the phone, in person, through video, any kind of thing where you could see their body language, you can hear the excitement, you can hear just the tone of voice, the raw exchange of energy, and that kind of like that graceful, it's like they're giving you your props, even though the props belong to them for, listening or, going through the crucifixions that a lot of these artists go through, and your brotherhood is still with you. You know what I mean? Your tribe, they're still with you. So there is no substitute for that. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. If If you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't been there. But that's first and foremost the reason why I don't just flat out quit or fall under some kind of spell that it doesn't matter and it's not reaching anyone or it's not going anywhere and this is just one big dud. The second reason is that you know, when I there's a couple times that, you know, you can count them on two hands when I sort of put the mic down and I put my resources and my, you know, just all my energy into other things that I felt was necessary to kind of go through this journey. You know, we're all here on this journey. We're just visiting. And so on this journey, there's certain things that you're compelled to do. And I put the mic down, you know, several times to pursue these forays and, you know, fulfillment, like trying to fulfill, you know, just dreams, aspirations. And every time I put the mic down and I head into other things, I get fulfillment through hard work and other things that I do, certifications, things, you know, qualifications, things that, you know, outside of rap. And yet, the ember for the music, it still burns because, you know, you could be out there doing something else and somebody recognize you, and this is talking about you got a uniform on, you look completely different. Like you don't, you know, I'm not really that good with I can't grow like a full, you know, goatee and all that. Like, you know, like I probably maybe give me another 5 years, you know what I'm saying? I can't wait for this to get here, man. I want one so bad, like a real one, you know, the real where it's like, you know, it's like I'm in a witness protection program. I'm trying to switch it up, right? So but in spite of that, I'll still be out of any kind of rap character, man. I got a uniform on, you know what I mean? I'm crispy, speak differently, all those things. And yet someone will still, you know, interrupt that to say, hey, yo, and, you know, I mean, every single kind of situation, when that happens, it's one of those things where you kind of gotta, you have to at least admit to yourself that this is not something that you could put a price on. It's more so there was an impact that was made. And, you know, it goes back to what I was saying was the primary reason. But, you know, it still is the secondary reason. I found more comfort or more solace in coming to the to accept that at one time in the early, you know, the early stages and even through the mid stages, I kind of ran it all out. I went from early stage, mid, and went to all the way to the end, right? And I fell out of love with hip hop, you know what I mean, at different junctures. When I say fell out of love with it, I mean like you couldn't just throw hip hop in front of me and I would just like blindly jump at something or into something. There was a time when that was like a reality for all of us, man. I mean, that's really only people I would consider real hip hop purists was like, if that clarion call came, they was jumping, man. People was driving to do, you know, to perform at showcases with no gas money, driving, you know, several states, 14 hours, you know what I mean, to go to another state to perform for a showcase just on some type of hope and a prayer that you would get a demo deal in order to put your music out, in order to just like copy your idols, you know what I mean? So, and I use that word because, you know, for all the people out there who really know, you know, how far the word goes, I don't use it lightly. Like we really did idolize these artists out, these rap artists out here, man. Like when we were coming up, it's just like the young generation. It ain't no different. You know, everybody that sits down, watch a sports game. They idolize that athlete, you know what I mean? Because what they're doing is incredible, right? It's magic. So yeah, you know, that's what we did. We did everything to make it happen. I would have blindly jumped in anything. I was in love with rap, with hip hop and rap. I was in love with it. There was no I threw everything to the wind, caution, everything, risk. I threw everything to the wind for rap. I fell out of love with rap, because of different, just realizations that, rap there's a limit to it where you can blindly follow it if you want to, but there's a time when, life takes over, man. And you have to do other things. There's other things that are there that are knocking on the door that need you. Other things that you're responsible for. Other things that you have to take liability for. And just being a citizen, you know what I mean? Is going to require you to, if you rap and you're a citizen, even if you help out in a on a weekend food bank or something, you're helping out, for people who come in to get food. They the line there in the queue. You can't be a rapper that's out there talking crazy about, spending resources and throwing away food and walking away from a half-eaten plate and all that stuff, and then be up there on the weekends helping the food bank. You can't do that. So no matter what you talk about, no matter what you are, who you are, life requires more from you as you mature and you age. And so rap, it's word of mouth. It's like our mode of communication. It used to be, and it's still effective. But now it's mainly like an advertising tool, but it still matters to some, some out there across the globe, like you, for example, because you didn't give any resistance with what kind of boundaries you wanted to do for the questions. You sent back something that was absolutely, it was acceptable, man. It's heartwarming even, right, to get that. And it's like, wow, zero resistance. DJ Amadeus from Shade 45 was like that. He was, and then my homeboys from CL and G Green were like that with the podcast that I had done with them. The House of Melanated, those gentlemen. So yeah, man, I fell out of love with the music, with the rap. And so once you fall out of love with it, you love it now, but you're not in love with it. So you do other things, man. And you don't let that affect your life. Right.
Does that mean when you say fell out of love, I'm sorry, does that mean like a couple of questions there? Like when you say fell out of love, does that mean you totally stopped listening to it? Like it was on the radio, kind of turned off type stuff? And then also when you were to take a break, when you took a break from it, did you completely stop writing at the time?
No.
Oh, wait. Okay.
No. So look, no. Oh yeah, definitely stop writing. Like it had no reason to write, but yeah, because I wasn't trying to capture any thoughts, because that's when I write when I'm capturing thoughts. But insofar as like turning the radio off or there's no bitterness there. See, that's what a lot of interviewers or anyone that looks at the template of Canibus now, like, if you Google it, you look, what are the things that come up? So people are always looking to kind of, so what are your regrets, or what are, what are the things that stick out to them? And it's usually always something that has to do with like, controversy, right? It's like, it's a Gordian knot, really, because, I can fall out of love with rap and hip hop without being bitter with it. But I'm not bitter at any of that. It's made me who I am. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I have to draw on, that I learned in the music industry, that I have to draw on to, mitigate life out in the world. Like there's, so many things. Like I learned it early too. And I learned it around people who was getting it, movers, shakers, kingmakers, key makers. I learned it around them. So I was able to see like, well, that's how you negotiate that. Okay, cool. I learned so much, man. That's what I'm trying to say. There is no bitterness, but that's what people are looking for. If they don't have it and they can't find it, and you're adamantly saying it's not there, they create it, man. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's crazy? I'm gonna tell you the craziest shit, Tim. This is the craziest thing. All of the stuff that people are dealing with right now with, like, let's say, like the mainstay media, the popcorn media, all of us are dealing with it. And when I say us, I mean everyone watching and everyone who are content creators. You're dealing with it too. We all deal with that now, where it's like you're playing you got this tug of war game with people who are controlling the narrative, man, and they just won't give it back. They won't give it back. And that could get heated. You know what I mean? I see you guys living it all the time. I'm like, wow, they're all going through the same things that I was going through a long time ago. They didn't understand it though. Now they kind of get it. But does anybody come, even in an email? I mean, I'm going to exclude the brotherhood and the fans and people who follow my music. I'm going to exclude them because that's a different. That's over there in another chamber. I'm talking specifically about what I just said, like how the media just got to now everybody's figuring that out. I mean, what the fuck? I knew that was happening. That was happening to me when I was still a teen. I was 19. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that was happening. I didn't believe it was happening, but I knew that something wasn't really adding up properly. And over the years, I tried to fight it. I tried, like what people do now, like when someone, when you see like these groups or these independent media fighting or playing tug of war with the major, you know what I mean? I see it happening right now. They get on there, they say stuff that's just like out of frustration, you know what I mean? All the same, in that order. In that order, the same thing I go through. I went through, what is it? What is it? Anger, then denial, or denial, anger is denial, then anger, then acceptance. And in between the denial and acceptance, there's like extreme, like dry spells, man, because you go through it, man. Those things split up families. A lot of these topics out here, man, they start splitting up families, man. You know what I mean? And then these terms that they're coining, like targeted individuals, stuff like that. Like, have you heard some of the things where people, where that term, like why that term was coined, like being a targeted individual? Like some of the things that these people that say they're targeted individuals, like what they go through, things in the home heating up, headaches incessantly, things happening that are outside the box that we kind of like think that is there, outside the realm of something that's even believable, you know what I mean? Or something that's certainly not tolerable, but you know what I mean? Like these things are happening all the time. And I see it and I'm like, wow, man, like, we're not even learning from those who have kind of been there, because nobody's listening. It's like my man said this rhyme. He was like, yo, here I am in the sand talking to a man in a language neither he nor I understand. Like it's one of the funniest lines. It's true. It's not comedy. It's so real that it's like George Carlin, man. It's one of them things where you watch George Carlin, you be like, wow, like this dude's not even here, and his words are like talking to you.
It's still true.
And you're so grateful for him doing that. You know what I mean? And so that's not what I want to be, though. I'm not trying to be that person, man. I'm just trying to share my experiences, man. I don't really subscribe to this fight thing. You know what I mean? Anymore. But one time I thought that you gotta fight, right? If you're being boxed in and you're in imminent danger, you gotta fight. And that's kind of like what's going on now in this whole idea about the future of the world, like globally. I mean, you look at a lot of regions, man, there's unrest there, a lot of diasporas. Now, this has been going on in the melanated community for as long as we can remember, but I'm not going to make that, you know what I mean, like the cornerstone that I'm standing on, even though I do have a dog in the fight with that because, I'm melanated. But my whole family is, my culture, my roots, everything. So the whole thing is, now the globe is facing these same sorts of pitfalls, if you will, that are on them. And they kind of like, it's the fight thing. But, like they say, step into the light. Okay, cool. But what does too much light do? It blinds you. So that's not always an answer. Somebody telling you that, they're evolved and it's, you just need to step into the light. Like, okay, that's not a bad idea if it's shaded, but sometimes, the light will blind you. Some of these dudes, I feel like they're blinded. And then, like I was saying, this fight thing going on. I mean, where does that take us, man? That takes us into, this type of technologies that's been sitting around waiting for this kind of moment. And if it feels like the trigger going to get pulled anyway, I mean, the creator's not going to just come and save us. You got to save yourself. But the creator, like whoever created all this, because this ain't just no experiment. Whoever created all of this, what I'm saying? The final, the one who has the final gavel at some point is going to, clean up the mess or sort things out. Because I know that entity's busy. It's got to be. They've got to be busy. But here we are, man. We can't even figure out that we're being like goaded to have these type of like okay. I'm gonna give you an example. So right now, you got a lot of independent media, and I support it, where they're talking about people need to get prepared for any kind of eventuality, like, the lights go out. What do you do? Oh, well, I'm just going to go to the bank and I'm going to get the money. Okay, so the bank's closed. Nobody's in there. Okay, well, I'm going to go get I'm going to use my card and I'm going to go to the gas station. Yeah, okay, so you go there. That doesn't work. What are you going to do? Oh, I got bags underneath the mattress. I'm going to go and use that. Yeah, well, at that point, what you're dealing with, everyone else is frantically thinking the same thing. So there's going to be roving Mad Max stuff going on. There's going to be people who are roving out there who are just taking advantage of that situation. So what are you going to do then? You know what I mean? Like, so, and then your options get down to, okay, it becomes tribal at that point. You have your group, your support team, your survival team or whatever. I said in one of my rounds, I'm like, man, that ain't no survival group. There's only 5 of you. Like, I'm laughing. Like, but I'm not laughing at them or whatever. I'm saying the frivolity of trying to survive.
That's a group of 5.
Or no. Let's say it's a sizable number. It's a, let's say it's thousands. Let's say we're talking about the thousands of folks who have, because they have them out there. They're ready, right? But this is where I'm coming from, because I've never really heard anyone address this before. What is the point of surviving a complete, like an extinction level event? And I'm only asking because I've never heard any one of these guys address this. Because I got my own ideas about it. What is the point of surviving an extinction level event if it costs you your humanity and your integrity and, the moral compass that you subscribe to, that you kind of were, that you were hardwired a certain way. We're all born, right? And then we learn things, we're indoctrinated. And then somewhere around your late 30s, your crown age, 33 up to your late 30s and your 40s, you start to develop, a specific, template of how you are, what's acceptable to you, what's intolerable. And you kind of like stay within those ranges. Like, you don't see someone in their 40s venturing outside of their comfort zone unless this is a way of life for them and they have to do it. Like, they're so, with that second density lifestyle, meaning like the birds, the animal kingdom, right? They get up every day and go out into the world to forage for food and to make a way for themselves, because this is their second density. This is the creator creates for them, and they don't They don't use tools and technology to be lazy, right? They have to do certain things every day, right? Whereas, you know, the human, we walk upright, we have tools. We have refrigerators. You put that in there. So you don't have to go out. You got to get that. Snowstorms coming, go get provisions, right? But there's a supply chain. And so what happens when all that is just like it's being squeezed now from what these guys are talking about? Because I'm not on the front line with that. But I mean, you got people that are panicking and they are also making headway, and they're making progress to supplanting their, their fail safes, their safety nets. My question though is, what is the point though of, I'm not saying don't do anything. What I'm saying is, where is that ascended master kind of, explanation of how it's going to be for someone who has, accidentally maybe, committed certain atrocities in the heat of, the times, right? They say, these were desperate times, required desperate measures, like stuff like that kind of talk, you know what I mean? That stuff that's mutually understood. But my whole thing is like, if we're talking about the bell, like the real buzzer, you know what I mean? Like this 2025 thing, what they're talking about, like, listen, if we're talking about that, then you got to understand how I'm even looking at, the music game now, or just life in general now. I'm looking at it like, okay, so the squeeze is happening and people are still talking about, oh yeah, well, we're 10 years out, we're going to be doing this and we're going to be doing, well, it doesn't really look like that now.
Have you ever brought your magic to Walt Disney World like, hey, we came to play? Did you tip your tiara to a Creole princess or get goofy officially? When we come through, it's true magic, because we came to play at Walt Disney World Resort.
There are any number of reasons you might consider selling your home. To move closer to family, live within a smaller budget, or just wanting a change of scenery. Whatever your reasons, having to figure out all the various housing market trends in your area may not be what you signed up for. That's where an agent who is a realtor comes in. Realtors have the expertise to help you find the right price and navigate the process to sell your home in a way that's right for you. That's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
There are also some people saying, man, bump that. We getting on the other side. When we come out the other side, it's going to be like this, or we're going to do whatever it takes to come out the other side. And that's cool too, right? But my whole thing is, like, I don't even think people are putting all that into account. Like, so, I mean, what's going to happen, man? You out there, you got your kids with you, and you end up doing stuff that's like so crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you got to look at them like, did you explain that to them? Did you tell them that that's what you was going to have to get into to do that, to make everybody survive? Like that movie, The Road, with Viggo Mortensen, when he had the little hardware and he had like one round in it, and he had to figure out what he was going to do with the round. Like he's going to, he was going to have to do it to his little man first, and then deal with himself another way, like some type of pill or cyanide pill. I can't remember, but that movie was deep. It was crazy. And my homeboy Born Son, he got a record dropping next month on CandyNFT.com. We done a song like that, The Road, where we kind of took it to what we wanted to do with it. And it's the same sort of thing, man. Like, I don't really know if that type of optimism is even like realistic, but here we go again, man. Like there's no place to go to get that kind of discourse, man. Like it's not happening, man. People just kind of like I don't know, man, like zombies, man. It's like and so rap ain't even important. Like when these things that I'm talking to you about, rap is not even there was a time when rap music, hip hop, I just say rap because it's hip hop, but hip hop doesn't sound adult enough to say now if everyone's saying rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious that rap, rhythmic American poetry, you know what I'm saying, is, you know, more the better acronym or the better way to describe what we, you know, what we do, what we put so much on the table for. But I don't really see how rap is relevant in that conversation, what I just talked to you about. I mean, you had groups like Dead Presidents. They was talking about this in 93. I seen them on stage performing Maria Davis Mad Wednesdays. I seen them do it, you know. Jay-Z had Jay-Z had VIP tables, Dame Dash. They got VIP to Clark Kent. That's how come I was there, because of Clark Kent. And I remember Dead Prez performing that. Now I remember telling them, like, yo, that's crazy. They had the food, clothing, and shelter stuff they was talking about. And, you know, they should be on a palanquin right now. People should be holding them up on a palanquin like, yo, you dudes is talking about this. And I don't know who else has said it in the last 24 hours or the last 96 hours or the last month or the last calendar year who has highlighted that their president was talking about this in 93. And that was when I saw them. So I know that they were doing it before that. So I want to know, why is it so hard for us to, you know, earmark the things that are important in our culture? I mean, let's jump across all the ethnicities and all that. I don't care where you're from. You could be in another country, because, you know, they got rap on every continent.
Right.
And I'm confused as to how come, you know, those star athletes in our former sport, those star athletes, like at their presidents, those are our star athletes, man. They were talking about this, their prophets. So how is it that, you know, not even their old stuff is brought to bear for people to be like, yo, and that's what I'm talking about, man. You can't be in love with something like that. Not something that forgets or casts to the side things that were, you know, that were critical, or things that are critical to, you know, our graduation, our not just survival, but how do we thrive, you know? Because that's my thing. Like, a lot of people talking this and that movement, that continuity movement, and it's like they're talking about surviving, and the circumstances that they're sort of talking about. I don't really see some of it. I can, you know, some of it I can, of course, you know, say, yeah, I grab a shovel, but the other stuff, like, I'm looking at it like, wow, man, like, you know, and Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? The one with Gary Oldman. Not many people were able to kind of like look at it through Gary's eyes, in the sense that he always felt so alone, because, you know, unless he bit the victim and shared the immortality or what have you, because that was what the whole thing was about. It was the romance, it was like right. So his wife, you know, she passed, and and then he found one that looked just like her, and he got obsessed with that, and, you know, he stepped on Keanu's neck behind that. But the whole thing is, like, you know, nobody ever looked at it where it's like, that's a curse to be the one gifted with that, or, you know, a cursed, you know, gift and a curse. And then you have to watch all of everything around you just expire, and you're still here, you know, in this purgatory. And so that's sort of like what I think that is like missing from, and, you know, this is like one of the first world countries that this type of discourse is not alien to, you know, our academic body. Like, these people talk about stuff like this. So I just don't understand what all of this. Oh yeah, this is how we're gonna counter that. Okay, so, but the after though, like I'm not trying to say people need to be proactive and stop it from happening. I'm saying that because all this was written in this prophecy, but it's so weird to me how, you know, we're talking about educated people here. We're talking about skilled people. We're talking about people who, you know, are responsible for helping to build the country and build other countries and build other people, and, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So I just don't understand, man.
They don't have the time to hide everything from you. They don't wanna stop you, they know you want you. If the money system change, it ain't about money. Life's a bitch and then you die, dog. Who ate the last fucking piece of cheesecake? Find out who it is and kill that cheapskate. Come here, little Nene.
What's good, y'all? This is Breeze Brewing from the Mighty Juggernauts. And make sure you subscribe and download the podcast, Library Rap, the hip-hop interviews with Tim Einenkel. Hip-hop journalism on the highest level.
So let's see if we can find a way to use it. And when everyone's dead, that's the proof. And I think that for the students, it's a beacon of professional.
Is this house a good price compared to others in the area? Are prices going up or down? If I don't make an offer right this very moment, will I miss my chance? These are just some of the questions a home buyer might ask. And these are the sorts of questions an agent who is a realtor can help answer. Because realtors have the expertise, data, and access to specialty training to help you navigate the process of buying a home. They provide support, guidance, and have your back every step of the way. That's what realtors do, because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Hey, it's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Record Store Day founder Carrie Colleton is joining us to discuss the April 20th RSD special releases.
Plus, we'll talk live with our audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, and find out who still listens to vinyl. And some updates from the Beatles universe.
Oh, good. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.